I'm a dreamer. I was born in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. And at 4 years old, I began my immigration journey. Not a choice of my own, but a hard decision my parents had to make. I walked to the United States, all 2,966 miles. From the capital city of Honduras all the way to America's Dairyland, Wisconsin. Don't worry, the government knows that I'm here. I have a Social Security card, I'm permitted to work, I pay taxes. I'm what they call a DACA recipient, a deferred action for childhood arrivals. This is a federal program that provides temporary protection against deportation for immigrants who arrived to the United States before the age of 16. This policy encourages me to dream, yet it is the same policy that holds me back from achieving everything I could ever desire in life. When DACA became implemented, we admired the idea of a short-term fix that would one day be transformed into a permanent solution. It's been over 10 years since DACA was created, and that promise of a permanent solution hasn't happened yet. And I don't see us getting any closer to fortifying DACA. As a result of DACA being a short-term fix, it has brought upon us a fear of instability. That fear itself isn't just about a piece of document being taken away from me. It means that the life I created, the family I built, and the goals I have reached and yet to be achieved can vanish in a blink of an eye, all because of a promise that has not been fulfilled. As we continue to wait for a permanent solution, dreamers have faced unintended consequences along the way. My story is not unique. 14% of the national population in the United States is made up of immigrants. There are millions of DACA recipients in the United States. As an example, there are thousands of DACA recipients in the state of Wisconsin, my home state. From Milwaukee to Madison, from Kenosha to Eau Claire, from Wausau to Oshkosh. 5% of Wisconsin's total population is made up of immigrants, and DACA recipients play a big part in that. Now, let's not forget that the 14% for the United States and the 5% for Wisconsin only provides us with the number of immigrants who are accounted for, when there are many immigrants who do not want to be identified in fear of retaliation, fear of being deported. There are many immigrant youths across the world facing a similar reality to mine. I'm from Central America, but DACA recipients in our state are a diverse group that come from every other country in many parts of the world. But they all have something in common. They came here at a very young age, a lot of times at no choice of their own, and they now call Wisconsin, or somewhere in the United States, their home. DACA recipients are often referred to as dreamers. But our dream is perpetually stuck in a place of limbo without a pathway to citizenship. One of the many unintended consequences that come along from being labeled a dreamer are the misconceptions that derive from lack of understanding. People often ask, why don't you just marry a US citizen and get a green card? Well, that's just a misconception, and that is not an option DACA recipients want to lean on when navigating through life. Or they ask, why didn't you just come here legally? Again, many DACA recipients came here at a very young age, even as young as infants, so they didn't have a say in the matter of coming here. I myself didn't even know about my immigration status until my teenage years. Or they ask, why? Why did you come here? There's no one-size-fits-all answer to that question. Every DACA recipient has their own story to tell. Some families came to America seeking opportunities and employment. Others families left their countries due to the real threat of danger if they stayed. Trafficking, murder, rape, political turmoil are all harsh realities for some families. And they decided it was safer to walk the thousands of miles north rather than to stay where they were. But no matter the reason for arriving, DACA recipients are now here, and here can be a strange place. My country of birth is a misty and distant memory. Since I was 4 years old, the United States has been my home. It's the only country I've ever really known. But at times, it can lean in a direction that's not always pro-immigrant. I speak English, but it's not my first language. I somehow grew up in a Honduran home with Honduran culture all around me, despite not having been to Honduras since I was a small child. Living here as a DACA recipient comes with restrictions and handcuffs, both metaphorically and figuratively. The constant fear of waking up and in a moment's notice, you or someone you love is no longer able to live in America. The impending threat of being deported is in the back of every DACA recipient's mind. Getting sent back to the place that you fled from because of the dangers, getting sent back to the country that you haven't been to since you were a newborn. What will I do if I get sent back? Who do I stay with? The only people I know are here in America. These are all hypothetical, yet real thoughts. The only lives we know are here in the United States. As a DACA recipient, I often feel like a horse, constantly led by a carrot, and that carrot is the American dream. We pay taxes, but we are ineligible for Social Security benefits. And in the state of Wisconsin, we must pay out-of-state tuition for university, even if you've completed all of your previous schooling in-state. With all the negative consequences that are imminent to continue as DACA stays temporary, as the federal government acts or does not act to make it permanent or chooses to remove it altogether, I have no other option but to live my life in 2-year increments. Because if DACA gets taken away, I cannot allow my dreams and goals to go with it. I graduated from high school with a high school diploma, all while earning an associate's degree at the same time. I didn't do that to be an overachiever. I needed an education, because if I were deported, I at least had a diploma to show when seeking employment. I became a co-owner to a marketing agency, so I can share my marketing expertise. But at the same time, it allowed me to stay in the workforce. Because if DACA got taken away and I'm no longer permitted a work permit or a Social Security card, I at least can still be a business owner. In my journey of living in 2-year increments, I have found the positive in people by focusing in building community. I work for 2 nonprofits, where at Dreamers of Wisconsin, I focus on supporting students like myself who are seeking higher education. And in the other nonprofit, I work to provide resources and training so entrepreneurship can be an option for them. We are more than dreamers. We are achievers. The label alone doesn't define what we can and will achieve as a community. While for some, the American dream is to be a millionaire, and for others, the American dream could be raising a family. For other people, the American dream could be giving a TEDx talk. The American dream that dreamers are chasing is just always out of reach. But dreams can very quickly turn into nightmares. When I was 12 years old, my mother was deported in front of my siblings when I was in middle school. I didn't understand the situation fully at the time. How could I? I hadn't even understand my own immigration status. I went from dreaming about playing outside and watching cartoons all day, the things 12-year-olds dream about, to dreaming about having a life of normalcy, dreaming about having a mom again. Your dream may not change anyone's mind, but it doesn't mean that your dream doesn't matter. No matter what your dream is, sí se puede, which translates to yes, we can. Just like the simple steps I've taken to come to this country to achieve big things, there are the same simple steps that you've taken to achieve your own dreams. DACA recipients are living in the shadows of our communities, but there's a huge possibility that you know a DACA recipient, you work with a DACA recipient, or you're friends with a DACA recipient, and you don't even realize it. We're called DACA recipients, but we're so much more than that. We're parents, we're families, we're your neighbors, we're college students, we're small business owners, we're nonprofit workers. They say that to understand another person's experience, you have to walk a mile in their shoes. Well, for me, you would have to walk 2,966 miles, not just the one. In each of our lives, we have been impacted in one way or another by the unintended consequences created by the policies that are in our country. We cannot change the decisions that are being made for us, but we can fight to change the outcome. To avoid unintended consequences, we must involve the individuals whose lives are being impacted to create a solution. Wouldn't you want to have a seat at the table where decisions are being made about you? My name is Keydi, and I'm a dreamer, but that's not all that I am.